Hey, how we doing? So I have my V-Core 98. It's a great racket. I have an Overgrip on. I've probably used this for about 12 to 15 hours. So you can see it's gone from white to a bit more of a clay color. So I'm playing on red clay right now. So the court is kind of coming on to the grip. And as soon as you see kind of a discoloration of the grip, it might be time to put a new Overgrip on, because there's still a bit of kind of feel and tackiness to it. But if I'm gonna play a match, or if I wanna have a really good feeling, I'm gonna re-grip my Overgrip. So I'm taking off the previous grip. Some players might use the same Overgrip for years, and it's just like a non-thought, but it's good to kind of get a fresh grip on there consistently so you have a good feeling. A grip costs about $3 to $4, so it's pretty low price point and it's very worthwhile. So right now I'm on the base grip here. This is the kind of the standard grip you'd get when you buy a racket. It feels really good. There's some tackiness to it, but if I were to just use the base grip for a long time, I'd lose the grippiness. It would become more slidey, and it'd be a little bit harder to get a handle on the racket. So I'm gonna reapply a grip. I'm using MegaTac, which is a really great brand of Overgrips. So the company is called Turnagrip, and they're mostly known for two types of grips. This one being my preferred one, which is a tacky grip. And tacky means kind of like grippy or sticky. So we're gonna take this plastic layer off, and you're gonna have two sides of the grip. It's a little bit tougher on this one because they're kind of similar in a similar feel, but one of the sides is gonna be tackier and grippier, a little shinier, and that's the side that we want that our hand to be attached to. So we're gonna put this onto the outside of the grip. This first part is pretty critical if you want to get a nice application of the grip, is we're gonna really make the edge of the grip snug, and there's no overlap or very slight overlap from this application process at the beginning. So I'm applying, I've initially got a starting point here, and there's a little grippiness on the other side, so I don't have to keep it down, but I'm gonna apply a little bit of a pressure here with my left hand and that finger, so the starting point is solid. As I'm wrapping it around, I'm applying pressure on it, and I'm trying my best to have like a relatively clean application. So this moment here, when I'm overlapping from my initial point, is pretty critical. So I keep the pressure on. There's not a lot of overlap, so it's pretty solid. I look here, and most of the edge of the grip is covered, which is nice, because any sort of exposed plastic might end up leading to a bit of a blister or something like that. So we want to make sure this is snug. You're allowed to kind of overlap it a little bit here. I like that. So it adds a little bit more material at the end of the grip. So you have a kind of a stopper there, kind of like in hockey. The top of the stick has a huge nub of tape, so your hand has a nice placement. So we're kind of doing that here. Once we've established a decent amount of kind of material at the beginning, we can start to bring the grip and kind of align it with how it's already set. So there's already kind of a prearranged spiral, and we're gonna go alongside of that, and we're overlapping a little bit, probably like, I don't know, 5 millimeters each time, 5 to like 3 millimeters. So there's a little bit of overlap as we're kind of constantly applying this. And notice here there's a decent amount of pressure and tension I'm creating. So there's, like, see there's a little bit of kind of a non-smooth texture, and that's not a big deal. If that's a little bit bigger, then it might interrupt the grip process. So I'm kind of spiraling this down. I'm applying pressure, and I'm rotating the grip accordingly in the racket. So I'm maintaining this spiral that is already on the base, and I'm adding a little thickness each time for the overlap. If you do this correctly with the grip, it should make it close to the end. So I'm not covering this last little bit of a couple centimeters, but for the purposes of how I hold the racket, I don't necessarily need to go all the way up there. So that's pretty well solid, and you can see there's not a ton of kind of mistakes in the grip. A little bit thicker on this end. So I've got this, and I can kind of stick it. There's enough stickiness that it kind of stays like that. But we're gonna add a little bit of a tape on top to make sure, and this is kind of the iconic Turner Grip red tape. And we're gonna be placing that at the top. Doesn't need a ton of tape to kind of make it stick, but we probably need to go around once. So I'm gonna tape that around, I'm gonna go there. And then the beauty of this is you can kind of snap it off. And then, you know, I've got a fresh, looks great, feels great, fresh, tacky grip. So it feels like even when I take my hand off it, there's a bit of a sound, and this is amazing. It's a great feeling. Like, I have an awesome racket, I have great strings, and this is the part of the racket and the grip that touches my hand. So if this can be a good feeling, that's in our control. I'd probably say if I'm playing a match, I'm putting a fresh grip on every time. It's a little bit different for coaching. It's not necessary, but as someone who has a racket in their hand, maybe 8 to 10 hours a day, with coaching and training and shadow tennis, it's nice to have a fresh grip, and that's an expense I'm willing to pay for like $3 or $4 a grip. So that's kind of how I would apply a grip. If you haven't replaced your grip in a while, I'd probably recommend it. Even if you're not using your racket a ton, it's great if you're going to do some shadow swings, or when you do get on the court, it's a great feeling. And then practice the application process. It might take 5 or 10 to get it, especially at the beginning, and to kind of get a somewhat pro look on the grip. I don't think I do it like perfectly, but I'm able to do it myself, and it's good enough. I'm sure you could go on YouTube and learn other things, but that's kind of how the process of how I do it and why I do it, just to have a really nice feeling on the racket. So try that out. It's super important to be able to, you know, have the ownership over your equipment, that you're able to do this. And if you're, you know, in a tournament, if you are bringing a new racket in and you got to do a new grip on a changeover, you got to be ready to do this grip change in, you know, 30 seconds to a minute. So it's good to practice that, not to rush it yourself, but to make sure you're able to do that in times of pressure. Hopefully you found this video useful, and looking forward to making more. Cheers.